Okay. Hello. It is I, Venomous Valkyrie, and this is my second time making this. Like, I already made a video of this that was like 20 minutes long, but it was just complete ass, so I'm scrapping it. Like, it was a complete mess. It was just me sitting there stuttering and just being a whole idiot mess in general, and the editing was a disaster. I was trying Talk Sprites for the first time, and it just turned out terrible. On top of that, Sony Vegas just hates me and just kept crashing the entire time, so I gave up on editing halfway through. So of course it was a mess.
To my fellow video editors out there, this is so relatable, isn't it?
But I will link it in the description if anyone wants to hear some idiot ramble for like 20 minutes anyway. Like, every time I make a video, I just feel like I could do better. I need to try again. So I'm trying again. I just hope it turns out alright this time. I also felt like I could have added more jokes in that video. I was just a bit boring, and it was a really bad introduction to anyone who doesn't really know about the series yet. Plus, it was just me rambling and improperly explaining what I was thinking, which is my profession.
I swear I need to find a way to make a profit off that. I could be a billionaire right now.
Anyways, I guess this is a continuation of a video on an old channel I abandoned a long time ago. I still kind of like that video actually, even though there are a few issues I have with it. I'm still not sure what I want this video to be exactly about. I don't know if I want it to be an introduction to my series or just me rambling on about the ideas I'm thinking about adding to the series. I honestly can't make up my mind. I guess I'll give it an introduction. I don't know how many people have heard me ramble on about it, but yeah, I guess I'm gonna talk about it again. So ever since I was younger, I've always wanted to make like an animated cartoon or a comic involving my characters. And I've always struggled with the premise until one day it hit me. I thought about, what if it was about animal testing? I know animal testing stories have been done before, but there's not very many of them, and I haven't really seen it done with anthro animals yet, so that's when I decided to jump on the opportunity. I'm not exactly sure if the premise has been done before, but it's just something I came up with. I'm not too concerned about being the most original person ever, because everything under the sun has been done. I have found myself falling in that trap of wanting to be 100% original, but that's just not possible. I'm sorry to say. And I've been hesitant on making this video because I feel like I'm just gonna repeat exactly what I said in my evolution of my OCs video, whatever that video is called. Because I have an issue with being really repetitive and repeating the same thing like 20 times and stuttering while at it, but hopefully it won't be the case. If I do be repetitive, please keep that in mind. I'm trying to do better with that issue, but it's just hard. And another thing I like about the premise of animal testing is there's all kinds of crazy experiments I can do to my characters. The possibilities are endless. It's an excuse to give my characters some powers and stuff, I guess, and add cool mechanical robotic parts on them and all of that. That's just a few examples off the top of my head. Hell, that's why Curtis is the way he is. A disgusting, stinky old man who's 368 years old, who smells like Doritos and feet. So, I don't know where to go from here. I don't know if I should talk about the plot I have in mind, or should I talk about some ideas I'm considering adding to the story, because there are some elements I want to fix that I'm currently not happy with. I still have very little development with this so far, unfortunately. Stuff like this does take a lot of elbow grease, and I'm a lazy piece of shit. But I'm trying to get off my ass and do more. Like I said, it's hard. These things take time, and hopefully I'll be able to figure it out and find my workflow eventually. I guess I'll talk about the plot. It's like the third draft I got so far, but I guess we'll get into it. Also, a little disclaimer to anyone that doesn't know my characters yet. Watch the video I already mentioned, I I can't talk. The evolution of my OCs. Watch that video if you don't know who my characters are already, because I'm just gonna name drop them without explaining who they are in this video, because I don't want to repeat myself like I said. So Dr. Nicholas, the scientist, sends his two assistants, Andrew and Zell, to his old lab to retrieve a journal that had some important information on it. They fly there in a helicopter, and Zell stays in the helicopter while Andrew climbs down and takes a peek at the lab. He takes a peek in the window and he notices something moving around in there, which surprises him, so he informs Zell on it, and he sneaks on in there, trying not to get caught. Since he's a crested gecko, he has like sticky hands and feet, so he can basically climb around on the ceiling and stuff. So he uses that to his advantage, but he eventually finds a journal. So he goes over there and grabs it, but unfortunately he falls and hits the ground, startling the man that would forever change his life.
It was Curtis.
So Curtis lets out a blood-curdling scream, and then his android assistants notice and they rush in there, and then they see Andrew. And they basically capture him. They hold him captive and they ask him questions, but he ain't talking. Eventually Zell tries to call Andrew again, but he doesn't answer. So she freaks out and informs Dr. Nicholas the news. So I haven't decided what exactly happens here yet, but I'm thinking about Nicholas and all the other assistants he has goes to that lab, but I'm not sure yet. So keep that in mind, that it's still a rough draft in this area of the story. So if Nicholas does go there, he ends up seeing Curtis and he's like, "Oh, it's you!" Then tries to capture him. But Curtis's android assistants put up a fight. But at the end, Nicholas somehow finds a way to deactivate them, and they get thrown in the back of a truck and sent to the new lab. I haven't exactly figured out what happens after that, but I have thought about scenes where Curtis tries to break out on his own, and he manages somehow, despite him being, like, extremely weak and fragile. He's still gotta figure out how to get his androids back, though. But I know later on in the story, Andrew's past is revealed, like, about his parents. Nicholas ended up experimenting on his parents, and he was unaware. He always wondered what happened to them, and then he eventually finds out. And when he discovers that, he fucking snaps and goes batshit crazy. But unfortunately, he gets defeated and ends up falling unconscious. I haven't come up with the reason how he gets defeated yet, but like I said, it's still a rough draft. After that, Nicholas ends up experimenting on Andrew. Joy. I thought about him injecting, like, the same chemical that Lenny was made out of into his body, and his body ends up handling it very poorly since he's never been experimented on before. But it ends up making his eyes and his veins glow green. I've thought about the symptoms that go along with that, is maybe he gets, like, something similar to rabies, but not rabies. Like, you know how you completely lose your mind and you get very aggressive. Stuff like that. I know in a previous draft he was basically just mind controlled after getting injected with that chemical, but it just made no sense, so I scrapped that idea. But what I'm wondering is, how the hell do Andrew and Curtis end up teaming up? And how does Curtis get his lizard obsession? So me and other people have this little inside joke where Curtis and Andrew are basically in love with each other. Like, Curtis is obsessed with lizards, and then Andrew is like sick of his shit TM, but he just keeps crawling back for some reason. That's the best way I could explain it. A part of me has been hesitant to do that in the story because of their huge age gap. Like, Andrew's 42 years old, and Curtis is 368 years old, like I mentioned earlier. I mean, it is a bit weird, but the only thing I can say about that is, at least they're both consenting adults, so I probably shouldn't be that worried about it. But it's still something I'm conflicted on. But I do have this one idea though. Both of them did lose their parents from experiments, so, like, maybe Curtis could be there when that scene plays out of Andrew discovering that his parents got experimented on, and he can relate like I mentioned earlier, he also lost his parents through the experiments. Well, his mother anyway. He doesn't know who his father is, or I don't even know if he has a father or his mother was artificially impregnated. I don't know. I'm probably gonna stick with the latter though. And another thing, maybe since Curtis has been living in that abandoned lab for years with no human contact besides his androids, and they're not even human, that once a living creature actually goes in there, he just like becomes instantly obsessed. And Andrew is the very first lizard he's ever met, so he probably gets utterly fascinated with the species. I don't know. That's all I got going for the main plot right now. I don't know what's gonna happen next. I'm still trying to figure that out at the moment. Like, what is the aftermath of the experiments that ended up happening to Andrew? How does he go back to normal, or does he even go back to normal? Stuff like that. I should probably go into detail about the backstory, because some might come into this video a bit confused, but I'm not sure. Alright, some context. There used to be a lab before the current lab, and Curtis and his mother and a lot of other animals were being experimented on in that lab. But unfortunately, one day there was a chemical spill that happened, and it killed almost everyone. I guess everyone, except Curtis. Curtis was the only survivor, and Nicholas himself. So, and that's how Curtis lost his mother. But he still stayed in the lab anyway, because the chemical wasn't affecting him. He had an immunity to it. I guess it's due to the experiments that were done on him. But yeah, he never leaves that place until the plot forces him out. And that's what I mean by he has no human contact besides his androids. That's the only socialization he gets. At the time anyway, until like I said, the plot kicks him out. I guess here's some more context. How is Nicholas still alive, you may ask? Humans can't live 300 years. It's due to him doing the Immortal Project and experimenting on animals and basically finding a way to prolong his life somewhat, if you're wanting context for that. Oh yeah, as for Nicholas, I'm thinking about making some changes to him. Right now, he doesn't really have a personality. His only motivation is, I don't want to die. So I'm trying to develop him some more. I thought about him being like some flamboyant dude that's obsessed with himself, and he stares at himself in the mirror all day while Zell's in the background like, ugh, I can't fucking stand this man. Why do I even work for him anymore? And he does everything he can to make himself remain young, and that's why he does those experiments. And he probably wears animal skins too. That was an idea I was throwing at the table, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna stick with it yet. Anyway, to whoever made it to the end of this video, seriously, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Feel free to share your thoughts. Constructive criticism is always appreciated here. Hopefully this video won't be a big mess. I'm trying to do better with that and stay more on topic and not ramble too much, but it's a bad habit. I don't do scripts, and I don't do bullet points. I just jump right into it and describe what's on my mind, and then chop up the audio and put it all into place. That's the easiest way for me to do things, because if I had to plan things out, then I don't want to do it. I don't know why. I'm a spontaneous motherfucker. But yeah, thank you for watching. Till next time.